In a world where love is often measured by price, one Korean mother teaches that respect isn't found in money, but in the quiet, enduring weight of sincerity. Have you ever felt that silence can speak louder than gifts? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's begin the story.
Soo-hyun sat by the living room window, slowly sipping her coffee. She was 62. It had been 2 years since she retired 30 years. She'd spent as a high school literature teacher. She'd always been surrounded by students, constantly busy. Now, only silence wrapped around her. Outside the window, the apartment complexes of this Seoul suburb sprawled peacefully under the sunlight. Soo-hyun had planned to spend her retirement here with her husband, but he'd passed away suddenly 5 years ago. After he died, she was alone, but she tried not to feel lonely, thanks to her 2 kids. Her son Minjun and his wife Jiwoo. Her daughter Yoojin and her husband Taeho. Those 2 families were the pillars of her life. Minjun worked at a big corporation, and Jiwoo was a successful interior designer. Yoojin had a regular office job, but she was the kind of daughter who always put her mom first, thoughtful, caring. Soo-hyun's personality was shaped by a lifetime. In the classroom, polite, measured. She tried to understand rather than get angry. Even when she felt hurt, she put others first. Not causing trouble, living quietly on her own, that was her life philosophy. People always said she was so dignified, so composed. But that composure sometimes made her feel like a lonely island. Swallowing her hurt feelings had become a habit. Lately, a small crack had started forming in her heart. And it was because of her daughter-in-law, Jiwoo. Soo-hyun stood up and walked slowly through the living room. Her footsteps made no sound on the carpet. She thought back to last weekend, when her son and his wife had visited. Jiwoo, like always, glanced at her watch right there in the entryway. "Mom, we've got something urgent today. We're just gonna stop by real quick to say hi and then head out." Minjun looked apologetic, but he didn't contradict his wife. Soo-hyun forced a smile and held out the pumpkin, pancakes and rice cakes she'd prepared. "It's okay. If you're busy, I get it. But at least take these with you." Jiwoo took the plastic bag of food and said a half-hearted, "Thanks." Then rushed Minjun out the door. Watching their car drive away, Soo-hyun stood at the front door for a long time. Her daughter Yoojin was different. Yoojin always helped with something around the house when she visited. Last time, she'd painted a camellia flower, Soo-hyun's favorite, and brought it in a little frame. That picture was sitting on Soo-hyun's nightstand now. Taeho, her son-in-law, had cleaned out the dusty storage room all by himself. They didn't give her expensive gifts, but they gave her their hearts, their effort. Jiwoo's effort was always minimal. Holiday gifts were always generic: a fruit basket from the supermarket, some run-of-the-mill health supplement set. Soo-hyun wasn't the type to care about price tags. What hurt her was the difference in sincerity. The warmth she felt from Yoojin, and the cold sense of obligation she felt from Jiwoo. That gap left her feeling empty. Soo-hyun carried her coffee cup to the kitchen. She took a teacup out of the dishwasher and carefully dried it with a towel. Suddenly, she remembered her 60th birthday party. Yoojin had given her a handmade ceramic piece, with tears in her eyes, and a gift certificate for a trip to Europe worth about $2,000. And then her son and his wife had handed her a white envelope. "Mom, these days cash is king, right? This is from us." Inside the envelope were 4 crisp $50 bills. $200. Even then, Soo-hyun had smiled and said, "Thank you." She'd told herself the amount didn't matter. But that peace didn't last long. A few days ago, something her friend Young-ai told her shattered her heart into pieces. "Mrs. Kim, I heard your daughter-in-law bought her own mother a Chanel bag for her birthday. $5,000, they said." "Wow, Jiwoo's really something." The moment she heard those words, Soohyun felt her heart drop. The teacup in her hand almost slipped. $200 versus $5,000. That gap meant the respect Jiwoo had for her was nowhere near the respect she had for her own mother. It wasn't just about money, it was a betrayal of sincerity. Soohyun set down the cup she'd been drying and stared out the window. A lifetime of living quietly, never causing trouble for anyone, and it had all led to this shabby conclusion, where even her own family didn't treat her fairly. The hurt rose to her throat, but Soohyun held back her tears. Why'd I have to be treated so differently? The thought that she couldn't take it anymore settled firmly in her heart. Soohyun decided she wasn't going to stay silent any longer. The firm resolve hidden behind her composed emotions finally lifted its head. Soohyun opened the calendar. Jiwoo and Minjun's wedding anniversary was circled, 1 month away. Right next to it was Yoojin's anniversary, marked as well. You get back what you give, that's how the world works. Family relationships are no exception. A faint but resolute smile crossed Soohyun's lips. In her quiet, measured life, something unprecedented was about to begin. This small mirror she was about to hold up, would it finally reflect the imbalance in her family? Deep in her heart, Soohyun quietly hoped it would. The hurt that had settled in Soohyun's heart after hearing that her daughter-in-law Jiwoo had given her own mother a $5,000 designer bag had become a lump she could no longer suppress. $200 versus $5,000. To Soohyun, this difference felt like a difference in respect. She knew she had to somehow correct this imbalance of sincerity. Staying silent any longer would be letting herself crumble. A few days later, Soohyun quietly reached out to her son Minjun. Rather than confronting her daughter-in-law directly, she wanted to improve the situation through her son. Minjun stopped by Soohyun's apartment after work. She'd made a simple bowl of his favorite noodle soup. "Mom, it's been a while since I had your noodles. They're really good. Your dad loved these," Soohyun answered matter-of-factly. A moment of silence passed. She carefully began to speak. "Minjun, what I want from you too isn't anything big. The most important thing is that you're happy. I know, Mom, but when it comes to family relationships, it's about the heart being exchanged, don't you think?" Minjun set down his chopsticks and looked at his mother. Soohyun's gaze was steady and calm, but he could sense some emotion hidden deep beneath the surface. "I know you guys are busy these days, and I know Jiwoo's got a lot on her plate. But Mom, I'm grateful just to have you come over and share a meal sometimes. It's just that. Sincerity, you see. It's not about the dollar amount, it's about showing the size of your heart." Soohyun didn't directly bring up the $200 from her birthday, or the $5,000 Jiwoo had sent to her own mother. She hoped her son would realize it on his own. Minjun hesitated for a moment, then looked uncomfortable. "Mom, we're trying. Jiwoo's just really swamped with work. And we thought we were doing our best, in our own way. The $200 we gave you. If that wasn't enough, I'm sorry. But we thought it wasn't about the amount. It's not about the amount. It's about the heart." Soohyun repeated it quietly. Her son clearly didn't fully understand what she was getting at. Minjun just kept defending Jiwoo's position. "Mom, it's true that Jiwoo treats her own family well. Her mom runs a business and has helped us out financially a lot. So we wanted to show our appreciation. Comparing you and her mom isn't. I mean, that's not." Minjun trailed off. Soohyun saw the root of the problem in her son's words. The couple viewed gifts through the lens of economic payback, while Soohyun saw them through the lens of pure sincerity and respect. It seemed they thought there was no reason to pay back Soohyun economically. This gap was far deeper than she'd imagined. "Okay, I understand. It's late, you should head home now." Soohyun stopped the conversation. Her attempt to resolve things gently through her son had hit a wall. After Minjun left, Soohyun leaned against the kitchen counter. Her heart was heavy again, filled with hurt and with a firm resolve. She realized that words couldn't fix this imbalance. The next day, Soohyun began thinking about how to show her daughter-in-law through actions. She wanted to avoid a dramatic, emotional confrontation. What she wanted wasn't revenge, it was to teach her daughter-in-law the meaning of respect. Soohyun calmly opened her planner. Inside were her son and daughter-in-law's 10th wedding anniversary, and her daughter Eugene and son-in-law's 5th anniversary, written side by side. Her eyes fixed on those 2 dates. I'll give them back exactly what they gave me. This decision contradicted who Soohyun had been her whole life. She'd spent a lifetime giving to others, never calculating. Give back what you get. But this time was different. This isn't about being calculating. It's about restoring balance to the relationship. Soohyun pulled out her bank book. Her husband's life insurance payout and her lifetime of savings from teaching were all in there. Not a fortune, but enough to carry out her plan. Soohyun recalled the size of the sincerity. Her daughter-in-law had shown her $200. Then she thought about the sincerity her daughter Eugene had shown her, and the ultimate sincerity her daughter-in-law had shown her own mother, $5,000. In Soohyun's mind, a plan began to take shape. This plan would be the final and most resolute message from a woman who had spent her life in dignified silence. Soohyun wrote amounts next to each date in her planner. Next to the numbers, she wrote, "Mirror of Sincerity." That night, Soohyun slept deeply for the first time in a long while. She felt lighter, as if she'd set down a heavy burden. Now her actions would speak for her. And those actions would begin in the next chapter on her son and daughter-in-law's anniversary. After her talk with Minjun failed, Soohyun knew words wouldn't fix anything anymore. What had to change now was her silence itself. She called her decision the mirror of sincerity. Not revenge, not bitterness, but a reflection. If her daughter-in-law Jiwoo had shown her a certain kind of heart, then she would quietly return that same reflection, nothing more, nothing less. Her first stop was the bank. She withdrew a part of her savings. 50 million won, nearly all that remained from her late husband's insurance. As she handed the paperwork to the teller, she caught her reflection in the glass. Calm, composed, but under that calm was a faint chill. The kind that seeps in when you realize the moment you've been avoiding has finally come. She whispered to herself, "This isn't revenge. It's balance." Days later came Minjun and Jiwoo's 10th wedding anniversary. The first D-Day in her quiet plan. She prepared 2 gifts, a $200 department store voucher and a simple handwritten card. Just enough matching the heart Jiwoo had once shown her. No more, no less. When they arrived, Jiwoo looked radiant, almost giddy. Perhaps expecting the usual luxurious gift her mother-in-law was known for. "Mom, we're here. Thank you for remembering our anniversary." Her smile looked bright, but to Soohyun's eyes, it was forced. Soohyun handed her the small box. "Congratulations. 10 years is something to cherish. Take this and treat yourselves to a nice meal." Jiwoo opened it, expecting something more. Inside 2 neat vouchers. $200 in total. Her smile froze for half a second. Just a flicker, but Soohyun saw it. "Thank you, Mother," Jiwoo said, her voice trembling ever so slightly. She tried to recover, but the awkwardness hung heavy. Minjun looked puzzled. "Mom, this is different from what you usually give. Is everything okay?" Soohyun's eyes met his unwavering. "There's nothing wrong. I just wanted you two to enjoy something you like. It's the thought that matters, isn't it?" Her tone was calm, but that last line, "It's the thought that matters," landed sharp and cold. Jiwoo lowered her head. The air thickened. The 3 of them sat in the tension of unspoken truth. Soon after, they left earlier than planned. When the door closed behind them, Soo-hyun stood still. No triumph, no satisfaction, only an ache that spread quietly through her chest. She wasn't someone who liked hurting people. But sometimes, silence needs a voice. And today, that voice had to come through action. 2 days later, at the neighborhood market, Soo-hyun ran into Ji-woo's mother. Her face glowed with joy. "Oh, Soo-hyun. Long time no see. Ji-woo just came back from her overseas trip. She got me this new Hermes bag. Isn't it gorgeous?" Soo-hyun smiled politely. Inside, she froze. So, even the week her daughter-in-law had received that $200 reflection, she was still gifting her own mother a $5,000 bag. It wasn't the money, it was the scale of sincerity. That night, Soo-hyun opened her planner again. Her eyes fell on 2 dates: Ji-woo and Minjun's 10th anniversary now done. And Yoojin and Taeho's 5th anniversary just days away. She picked up the phone. "Next Saturday, let's all have dinner together, both families. Minjun, Ji-woo, you'll come too." Her voice was soft but firm. It would be the first time she'd ever arranged a family dinner herself. Minjun hesitated. "Sure, Mom. Do you want us to bring anything?" "No," she said. "Just yourselves." After hanging up, Soo-hyun looked at the reservation. Note for a fine Korean restaurant. Then, she opened her safe. Inside sat the bankbook, 50 million won. This wasn't money anymore. It was the weight of every unspoken word, every moment. She'd swallowed her pride for the sake of peace. Next Saturday, at that dinner table, she would hand that bankbook to her daughter. In front of everyone. And in that moment, every imbalance would come to light. Her heart began to beat hard, steady, deliberate. The kind of heartbeat that comes right before truth breaks its silence. Saturday evening. A long table, set for 8. 2 families gathered under the golden glow of a restaurant chandelier. An atmosphere too elegant to be comfortable. Soo-hyun arrived early. Her hair was neatly pinned, her beige jacket pressed to perfection. Yet her hands, folded in her lap, trembled slightly. She wasn't nervous about confrontation, but about what truth might sound like when spoken out loud. Then came Ji-woo and Minjun, smiling politely. Behind them, Ji-woo's parents followed, cheerful and unaware. Moments later, Yoojin and Taeho arrived. Her daughter and son-in-law, their presence soft but steady. Dinner began with small talk, meaningless weather, food, compliments. Every word tiptoed around the unspoken. Halfway through the meal, Soo-hyun lifted her wine glass. "Before dessert, I'd like to say a few words." The room quieted. Her tone was calm, but her eyes had a clarity that made everyone straighten in their chairs. "For a long time," she began, "I've tried to keep peace by saying nothing. But silence, I've learned, can be misunderstood as acceptance." She looked at Ji-woo, then gently turned to Ji-woo's parents. "You raised a beautiful, capable daughter. I respect that deeply. But I also learned something important these past years: kindness, when not respected, turns into distance." Ji-woo's mother blinked, unsure how to respond. Minjun looked uneasy. "Mom, maybe we can talk later." But Soo-hyun continued, voice unwavering. "No, Minjun. This is not anger. This is correction." She reached into her handbag and placed a small blue envelope on the table. "This," she said, sliding it toward Yoojin, "is a gift for my daughter. It's something I've been saving. For someone who never forgot what family means." Inside was the bankbook, the 50 million won. A heavy silence followed. Ji-woo's eyes widened. "Mother, I don't understand. Why are you doing this here?" Soo-hyun's gaze turned to her, soft yet firm. "Because mirrors only work when light hits them directly." Her words landed with a quiet sting. She continued, "Ji-woo, I've watched you grow distant. Not in miles, but in heart. I gave, you measured. I bent, you straightened. And when I tried to see your sincerity, all I saw was my own reflection, empty." No one spoke. Even the servers lingered by the doorway, sensing the shift in air. Ji-woo's mother broke the silence, her tone defensive. "Mrs. Kim, I think this is a misunderstanding." Soo-hyun interrupted gently, "No misunderstanding, Mrs. Park. I just finally chose to stop pretending." Her eyes shimmered not with rage, but with relief. "I'm not asking for gratitude. I'm simply returning the balance. That's all I ever wanted, sincerity, not ceremony." She stood, bowed slightly, and added quietly, "Let's finish dinner. Life goes on." Then she sat back down, her composure untouched yet under the table. Her fingers clenched tight. For the rest of the evening, conversation limped forward in fragments. No one mentioned the envelope again. But everyone felt its weight. The unspoken truth that had finally found its way to the surface. When the dinner ended, Ji-woo walked to the restroom. Tears trembling in her eyes. Her reflection in the mirror met her own gaze, and for the first time, she didn't like what she saw. The mirror had turned, and it was her turn to face what it revealed. After the storm at the restaurant, silence lingered in Soo-hyun's home. Like a slow, heavy fog. It wasn't guilt, it was the echo of the mirror she had held up. Her daughter Yoojin called, her voice full of concern. "Mom, are you okay?" Soo-hyun replied quietly, "I'm fine. I've simply finished my last piece of unfinished homework." But that night, peace didn't come easily. Soo-hyun sat by the window, her teacup untouched. She'd wanted understanding, not division. She wondered if her silence had healed something or broken it beyond repair. Still, she told herself truth, once spoken, always finds its place. Days passed. Then, one calm afternoon, a small box appeared at her door. No expensive wrapping, just a simple brown ribbon tied neatly. Inside were two things: a rare poetry book Soo-hyun loved, and a handful of traditional sweets, uneven in shape but wrapped with meticulous care. Tucked beside them was a short handwritten note. "Mother, I truly apologize for what happened. I finally understand your heart. Please stay healthy." The handwriting was Ji-woo's. It was short, almost plain. Yet the warmth of sincerity seeped through each word. For the first time in months, Soo-hyun smiled. This was not obligation. This was reflection, the kind that grows from quiet realization. She unwrapped one of the sweets, bit into it, and felt something melt, not just sugar, but the long bitterness she had carried. From that moment, small changes began to unfold. Ji-woo no longer made excuses about being too busy. She visited on weekends, sometimes bringing flowers. Sometimes nothing at all, but always her genuine presence. When she arrived, she'd take off her coat and say, "Let's take a walk, Mother," a gesture so simple, it carried more sincerity than any gift could. But the real change happened in the kitchen. One Sunday afternoon, Ji-woo stood by the stove, nervously stirring a pot. "Mother, I followed the recipe. But I'm not sure if it tastes right," she said shyly. Soo-hyun smiled. "It doesn't have to be perfect. The fact that you made it yourself, that's enough to fill my heart." Her words were soft, but her voice trembled with feeling. For the first time, Ji-woo's eyes held no trace of guilt or calculation. Only genuine care. Months passed. The 50 million won bankbook still lay untouched in Soo-hyun's safe. It was never about the money. Her plan had never been to give or to keep, but to restore balance, to teach what respect truly meant. A year later, on Mother's Day, both families gathered in Soo-hyun's home. The air was warm with the scent of braised ribs Ji-woo had cooked herself. No fancy restaurant, no designer gifts. Just a table full of laughter and home-cooked food. After dinner, Ji-woo handed Soo-hyun a small envelope. Soo-hyun didn't open it. She just looked at her daughter-in-law and smiled. "Ji-woo, it doesn't matter what's inside anymore. The fact that you made this meal for me, that's worth more than anything." Ji-woo nodded, her smile honest and clear. I know, Mother. But this time, I just wanted to show you my heart its true size. Inside the envelope was 3,000,001. Not too little, not too much. But exactly enough to reflect thought, balance, and sincerity. Soohyun took Jiwoo's hand and said, I'm grateful, not for the money, but for the warmth of your hand. Tears welled in her eyes, not of pain, but of quiet peace. The mirror she had once held up had not shattered their family, it had revealed its truth. She realized now that mirror was never an instrument of revenge, but a tool of truth, one that exposed imbalance so that respect could be restored. Outside, sunlight filled the living room once more. Soohyun sat by the window, coffee steaming in her hands. The world outside was unchanged, but her heart was lighter, balanced, whole. Respect, she thought, is never measured by money, but by the weight of sincerity. And for the first time in years, her silence sang not with sadness, but with harmony.